dramatic, weren't it?
I know. I really like it. I made that myself, by the way. A question I'm burning to ask you. You definitely have blue eyes, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. In my post, I put we have the same colour eyes. I thought, well, you could have photoshopped those in. So another important question: Do you like George Michael's music?
Yeah, I'm a fan of George Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, and you like Aretha Franklin,
Yeah.
and you like the two together.
Well, I've never heard them together. I'll be honest with you.
That short clip of song that was at the end of the dramatic intro, that was George Michael and Aretha Franklin.
I didn't know that. No, I'm a bigger fan. I like Elton John.
Do you?
Yeah, I love a bit of Elton.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Elton John. Do you have a favourite song?
I like Saturday Night.
Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting.
That's the one. Yeah.
Do you like fighting?
I like. I'm into like boxing and MMA and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Do you actually like practice these sports?
No, I used to. I used to do a bit of kickboxing and stuff, but no, I don't anymore now.
Yeah. Was you any good at it? Because I did. I've had my period of time in martial arts. Like the last one I did was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and if I'm honest, I loved it, but it messed up my back, my ankle, like my body. It really impacted my body quite a lot, just because all the being on the floor grappling all the time.
No,
yeah,
I was awful at it. No, I wasn't any good.
at least you're honest about it. I like it. All right, so thanks for doing this, by the way. I know it sort of kind of developed quite organically. I just sent you a message and you were quite happy to do that, so thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Do you want to one of the things I want to sort of explore a little bit with you, Jordan, is like I first bumped into you last year, and the way you use predominantly LinkedIn, isn't it? Yeah, was dramatically different to how you use it now. You know, I remember reading you were talking about, see this stuff quite a lot on LinkedIn, all different struggles you were having. I'm guessing because you discovered that people connected with you if you shared that stuff.
Yeah, it was probably a case of, ironically, from some of the stuff I've seen this week, but it was probably a case of we were just, I mean, when I first started using LinkedIn, it was just after lockdown. And I think a lot of people were kind of in a vulnerable place. And, you know, I've seen a lot of people mention about the fact they use social media for interaction with other people. And I guess at that time in my life, that's what it was all about. You know, I think a lot of people had felt a bit lonely and vulnerable at that point. And yeah, and that's pretty much why I started using it. The thing is about social media is that it's very addictive, and once you start receiving a lot of people's validation, it's very hard to stop wanting that. You know, the endorphins in your brain that kind of come from, you know, I don't think there's a person in the world who doesn't like being told that they're doing a good job, or they don't like being, you know, like being popular or like having friends. And when that kind of comes very easily through social media, like I said, it's once you get in a roll with it all, it's kind of hard to stop it. But contrasting, like you say, I use it very, very differently nowadays to what I did back then. And I had to go through 12 months of kind of being like that to make a decision off my own back to say, I just can't be doing with this anymore. I can't be like this, you know. It probably wasn't, you know, being myself as such, probably just being trying to please an audience, trying to gain other people's validation all the time, really.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. And did you notice the sort of the playing out of like the story of who you are through social media meant that kind of added to the story of who you are anyway? So for example, if you're sharing like stories of suffering, and seeing that, oh, people really connect with me if I share stories of suffering, that you just perpetuate the story of suffering.
Yeah, it's without a shadow of a doubt. Like I've just said, it's validation. It's people telling you that it's okay to feel this way. And I've not come on this live today to speak about the fact that people shouldn't do this. It's my choice how I use social media, and it's anybody else's choice to decide how they use social media. Ultimately, I've completely change course on it all. However, I think you do. I think when you find that something starts kind of working for you a little bit, you naturally, I think you obsess on that, because I think that, when something works, and like I said, you're making new friends, or what you believe are friends, and you're kind of having this discussion with these people every day, and they're telling you doing a good job, and they're liking all your stuff, and this, that, and the other. And when you look at that, it's very easy to get pulled into, and it's the same reason as why 80% of people do it. When I look back now, I just think why did I do it? Because in a sense, and people will say to me, and people can have whatever opinions they want, and I'm not here to argue their opinions. Other people's opinions of me are none of my business. But people will say that I helped them, and people will say that me being vulnerable through social media was a good thing and stuff. And a part of me sits here now and goes, yeah, fair play. I did it. I've done my bit on that now, and now I just want to crack on and keep my head down and do what I want to do. And concentrate on my business and me going forward with it. And and I've spent thousands of pounds on self-development, learning what I teach now to other people, and I'm constantly still spending money on learning what I'm learning. And for me, that's the most important thing in my life now. Pay for this stuff. I'm going to try and develop it and teach it to others, and actually apply it to what I'm doing in life, rather than trying to gain other people's validation, which admittedly, that's what I was doing last year.
What do you mean by self-development, Jordan?
Well, I've been working with, I work individually with someone who is very, very experienced in the world of marketing. I pay them thousands of pounds to be taught by them, to be taught their ways, to understand certain aspects of marketing, and a very niche type of marketing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And now, like I said, just putting it into practice, and gotcha. That's what I'm doing, and teaching others the same way,
Nice. Gotcha. Okay, cool. So back in those days when you were sharing more just stories of personal difficulty, let's say, which I see it a lot on LinkedIn as a platform, and it does tend to get a lot of traction in terms of like engagement. Did it actually get you any business?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, you've got to remember, at that point in time, I wasn't selling services, I was selling a product.
Right. Okay.
So the idea of for me, selling products and selling services are completely, different.
Yeah.
Some products are absolutely genius. Some products are off the shelf, in terms of they're new, they're innovative, they're brand new to the market. They solve a problem that is fantastic. Like, for example, a brand new kitchen utensil, or something that hasn't been really made before, and people think, wow, that's fantastic. It's going to save me so much time chopping my potatoes up, or doing this or doing that. And people might see real value in it. When you're selling clothing, obviously clothing is an essential, but it's, brand wise, nothing is essential. People choose brands through basically because of their egos telling them that they want to do. So what you want to, if you're in kind of, if you've got a product and you want to sell a product, let's look at some examples here. Rolex don't sell watches, they sell status shit. Harley Davidson don't sell motorbikes; they sell lifestyles, you know. And it's a case of, it's not a case of, you know, we sell motorbikes, we sell watches. It's a case of building a story around the brand. And, you know, you'll see, especially in this day and age, a lot of clothing brands, they go off the back of what's called social proofing. And social proofing is people, you know, advertising that they're wearing that brand. I mean, you know, let's have a look at one of the biggest brands that's, you know, been coming back and going forward, and now he's probably as big as I've ever seen it. And I know back in the early noughties and, you know, 90s especially, it was big. But I mean, Stone Island's making it a big comeback at the moment. And I mean, you know, if you look at the prices of Stone Island, who in the right mind is going to go and spend £600-700 on a jacket? You know, I mean, when you, but you know, ultimately there are people doing this. Why are the people doing this? Because of the way that Stone Island market the clothing and the kind of identity behind the brand and the story behind it, and the people who wear it and show it off to us. You know, Stone Island's got a big link to like football, for example. And other football fans wear it, and other football fans see other football fans wearing it, and then decide that they want to buy it. They save up for 3 months to buy a £700, £600, £400, whatever jacket, to take pictures with the mates on away days and get the badging and such, you know, and that's it. And really, that's kind of what, by sharing my struggles with through stigma and the clothing, you know, he was building a story, he was building an identity of other people who kind of felt the same way as you and wanted to share it. You know, it was never going to be the coolest brand in the world because of the issues that it touched on, and, you know, the stigma that is behind that.
Something I've always found interesting about marketing is, and yeah, you have to challenge me on this, because my ideas can change.
I've no problem with challenging you on anything.
No, but my ideas can change, if I can even call them my ideas. Just ideas change, let's say. It does seem to be about convincing people that they will feel better about themselves with whatever it is that's being marketed to them. So the fundamental basis is, you're not enough yet, but you will be with this.
Well, if you look at that, okay, so first and foremost, it depends on what your services are. But the truth is with marketing, in my opinion, it's a case of people want to know how you're going to change their life. And if we look back to something like, clothing, and you know, the brand that we just mentioned, how is it going to change their life? Realistically, it's not going to change their life. They're not going to buy a jacket and it's going to change everything that they've. However, people will feel that if they wear that brand of jacket and they go out with the mates on a Saturday, that egotistically they've moved up the hierarchy because they are wearing a better brand of clothing, or what they perceive as a better brand of clothing.
Yeah.
Or when you ride a Harley Davidson and you pass somebody who's riding a Triumph, let's say. Now, people prefer Triumph over Harley Davidson, but in a lot of people's eyes, the perception that Harley Davidson as a brand is a lot more higher up the ladder on the hierarchy of, you know, and a lot of this stuff, you know, is as well as, you know, the two brands that I'm kind of talking about, you know, I mean, the men especially are like this, you know, I listen to a lot of stuff online and read a lot of stuff, and it's like, you know, a lot of men will do a lot of things to get above another man in like the hierarchy of a friendship.
Yeah, even in conversation. Like, even in a conversation, it can be like this game playing of,
and it's
like,
all about, you know, it all becomes about masculinity and who's at the top of the chain, you know, and usually that is the person who kind of feels that they buy the most expensive clothes, or the most expensive brands, and they do this, you know, and, you know, it's like Apple sell simplicity in technology, you know, nothing outside of the box, I'm Samsung, I use Samsung, and with Samsung it's a lot more customizable. You can download APK files, you can do stuff like this, which you can't do on Apple. And again, but again, Apple is seen egotistically by a lot of people as the brand to have, because of the fact that they believe that it's in the brand and the story, and how Apple have cleverly sold this kind of stuff is all putting them up. If you're a graphic designer, and I understand that Apple have certain aspects of the products that make it better for graphic designers and stuff. But I mean, if you was a graphic designer and you walked in with a HP laptop like myself, other graphic designers would automatically think that they're better than you because of the fact that they've got a Mac and you've got an HP laptop. And realistically, when you think about it, it's a load of bollocks. But well, that's there for argument. That's
no, I'd agree with you. It is a load of bollocks.
Especially with the clothing side of stuff.
Yeah.
But in people's egos and in people's minds, that's how it works. And now if you come back to selling a service, okay, again, everything can still be linked back to egos. And I use the example here of a man walks into a hardware shop, and he says he needs a 5mm drill bit. Okay, so if you and this isn't my example, this is an example that I've read, and and comes back to a lot of things that I look at. But he says he needs a 5mm drill bit. But if you look at that, okay, well, he doesn't need a 5mm drill bit, he needs a 5mm hole. Okay, so why does he need a 5mm hole? Well, he needs a 5mm hole. Does he need a 5mm hole to hang a picture up on the wall, or is it to do multiple house improvements that he wants to do at home? And this is a specific drill bit he needs. But then if you look at, okay, if he wants to do multiple house improvements at home, why does he want to do multiple house improvements at his home? Does his house need to be better, or is it a fact that when his friends come round on a weekend, or their friends come round on a weekend, that they want to show off the fact that they have the best house? And if you keep going back, it'll all come back down to an ego ultimately, And if you're looking at selling a service, there's a case of people want to know how you can change their lives. People don't want to be sat around wasting time, and people want to be better than the next person, whether they like to admit it or not.
No, 100%. I agree with you. You have used the word ego a few times, though, and I do see that word thrown around a lot, and I still have no idea what people mean by it. My sense of it is what people are talking about is the aspects of themselves they don't want to show people or admit. Whereas for me, when we're talking about ego, we're just talking about the sense of identity. When you say ego, what do you mean? Just so I know what you mean when you use that word.
Well, you're not far wrong from how I describe it. It is a case of an inside feeling that people don't necessarily want to share, because it shows that either it shows bad traits of them, or it shows good traits of them, or or in between traits, or whatever it may be. But it's a case of one thing I've had to anybody who kind of has read the inner chimp paradox, for example, you could compare your ego to your inner chimp, if that's what you want to call it.
Okay, so you're talking about the ego as an aspect of ourselves.
Yeah,
I call the ego, it's just your sense of yourself.
But I think
the whole thing, not just an aspect of it.
I think that depends on who you are and how you perceive stuff. For me, I've always got and there's a word for this, and I forget the name of it, but there's a percentage of people that do this, that basically can be saying whatever they like in to a person face to face and doing whatever they want, but all the time in the head they're having a separate conversation. And most definitely one of those people, I could be having a conversation with someone like I'm doing you now, but inside my head right now, there's a whole different conversation going on around what I've got to do after this, how I'm going to do it, this, that, and the other. And that's a weird thing, because I think, you know, you never have silence in your own head when you're like that a little bit. But there is a word for it, and I can't think what the word is. But yeah, when you're talking about, you know, egos and stuff, one thing that I've massively changed over the last 12 months is I've had to learn to control my ego, and I think that's been massive. And a lot of people won't admit this because they don't want to admit that they've got an ego inside them, you know. But the truth is there are many a times where I scroll through LinkedIn for 5-10 minutes and I see a post or a comment or something that I think, what a load of bollocks that is. You know what I mean? What a load of bollocks. And my ego inside will be screaming.
Do you choose to think that? Sorry to interrupt, but do you choose to think that, or does that thought just happen?
Your opinions are opinions. You know, your natural reactions are your natural reactions.
That's what I mean. Are they yours, or do they just happen?
Well, for me, it's natural. Doesn't mean that you can't change your opinions. You know, anybody's entitled to change whatever they believe. But at the same time, you know, like I've just said, I see these comments, and in my head, it's like, what a lot of bollocks, you know, this, that, and the other. Or I've seen something that really winds me up. And, you know, admittedly, 12 months ago, I probably would have jumped on that post and had a Barney with him. You know, I'd have probably you know, I would have given my opinion out, you know, unwarranted, really, because nobody's asked for it. And this is what a lot of people do. And nowadays, I sit there and I go, why? Like, wind your neck in, Jordan. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you getting wound up about somebody else's opinions? Like, it doesn't. Honestly, ultimately, like, in my head now, and not everybody has to live by this. Again, people can choose how they want to choose, but in my head, it's a case of stop getting wound up about stuff, because honestly, like, it's so insignificant. In natural fact, that's your ego inside screaming, screaming to the point where, you know, you need to respond to this, you need to react to this, because this is how your body's reacting. In actual fact, you don't. You take a step back and take 5 minutes and go, what does words on a screen matter? It doesn't. You know, it doesn't really upset me. It doesn't really offend me. It's offending my ego and what's inside of me and my core beliefs as such. But in actual fact, give yourself 5 minutes. It doesn't even matter, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, same thing. If somebody attacks you on social media, if somebody says a nasty comment to you or puts, you know, your ego will scream. There's a saying that a wise man told me, and if I don't think he'll be watching this, but if he sees it, he'll laugh.
Has he got a big beard?
No, he doesn't.
How do you know he's wise then? Because for me, the only way you can tell someone's wise is because they've got a big beard.
Well, for me, the fact that he's made me thousands of pounds of money.
Okay. So wisdom is for you equated through finances.
Well,
he must be wise because he made me money.
Something that can equate to me to bettering myself a little bit.
Okay, cool. Fair enough.
Ultimately, you know, we've all got to earn money, we've all got to pay bills. But a wise man told me.
Do that in a Japanese accent, just for my own pleasure.
Not a chance. But you know, I got told that, you know, if you wrestle with a pig, you'll end up covered in shit. You know, and that was the saying that he told me. And that is a case of when two people argue on social media, there's no winner. You both come out looking like an absolute pair of clowns. You know, and even though you will argue your case until you're blue in the face, there will always be people who agree with you, and there will always be people who disagree with you, because everybody's different. And that is one thing that I've completely and utterly stopped on social media, is just arguing with people for the sake of it, because my ego inside me is screaming, you know, you don't agree with this, you should disagree with this person. That goes beyond your core beliefs or what you really believe, but it doesn't really matter.
We'll get onto your LinkedIn wizardry and expertise shortly. This is one thing I always find interesting. Even just the language pattern itself, I think, creates this split that is confusing for people. People say my ego, and I don't know. Well, okay, so who is the me and who is the ego? What are you even talking about when people say stuff like this? You know, the whole idea that there's there's a me that is separate to the parts of me that it is trying to work on.
Yeah, it's down. Well, I think it's down to the fact that if you either think you've got an ego or you don't think you've got an ego, And again, I'm not here to say that you're right or wrong on that. You can have whatever opinion you like on the fact that if you don't choose to believe, you can't kind of comprehend in your own head. But it's it's a case of states where we become offended by something that we have, or we kind of want to improve on something that is going to, like I said, increase a status ship or a hierarchy, or we believe or what we perceive, because there's nothing, again, back to the clothing situation, there's nothing to say that you are going to be up this hierarchy, but in your own head, you believe that, you believe that, and I'm speaking hypothetically, I'm not talking about you directly, but you believe that, you are going to go up the hierarchy because you will be seen and perceived as better because you are wearing more expensive clothing, or you are getting offended by something because, a lot of our core beliefs are not driven by ourselves anyway. They're driven by people who bring us up,
Exactly.
So it's a case of
our own, we could say.
When you sit down and you reevaluate what your actual core beliefs are, not because of what other people have described to you that they should be and what other people have taught you since you've been a little child, and the way I say this is that, no child is born with a religion. A religion is usually...
There's a song in there somewhere, isn't there?
I don't know.
We could make one up. At the end, hang around for a few minutes and we'll make up a song.
But
carry on, I interrupted.
No, it's fine. It's a case, no child's born with religion. No child, is born supporting a football team. Let's say, for example, usually those core beliefs are kind of brought in by a parent or a guardian as such that kind of believe those things. And then when you get to a stage, either, it will be drummed into you so much that is your core belief forever, or you'll decide to break away from those core beliefs and make up your own mind, rightly or wrongly. And, you'll probably push your core beliefs onto other people and your own children within certain aspects, and I think that can be done unknowingly, without intention, and whether that's right or wrong, it's just the way of life and how it works.
I heard a quote once from a very wise man.
Did he have a big beard?
He had massive testicles. I don't know if he had a big beard, but he
must be wise.
Anyway, he said that your children will rarely become what you speak, but they will become what you are.
Yeah.
So, my experience, we're having this conversation now. These words are coming out because this conversation is conducive to these words coming out. But in another moment, a whole other set of words would come out around different people. So, for example, you could be in one situation and you might say that these are my fundamental beliefs. In another situation, these are my fundamental beliefs. It's a constant changing thing. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that seems to have any kind of permanency is like the actual actions. And I think that our children pick up hugely on those.
It's hard for me to speak on that because I don't have children.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I only have one, and at the moment she basically just cries and goes to the toilet. She started to smile though, so
But I once read a book, and I don't know how true this is, but I believe, like what it said in the book, that children start developing emotions and attachments from around the age of 7 or 8 weeks old, and especially with the fact that, one of the first emotions that you learn in life is let me think of the emotion, but I guess you could feel like the emotion is probably loneliness, because you get the
very salient point back
because
this goes into a really interesting area. Carry on.
I would say that, and this was the book I read was called The Road Less Traveled, and
That's a great book, isn't it?
It touches on all sorts, but it speaks. Don't quote me on this because I don't know how much science there is, and I'm only speaking about, but really, if you look at it and the way that I'm kind of perceiving this now, when a baby is very young and it becomes attached to, especially the mothers, and when you put babies down and they start crying because from the age of 7 or 8 weeks old, according to this book, that they can sense detachment from the parents. Separation anxiety comes in, and then it goes on to talk about all this, kind of reasons why certain people will grow up in the world, fearing the world, and have all this anxiety, and why certain people will go out when it's time to go and get a job, 16, 18, whatever it is nowadays, and we'll go out and smash the world and not be scared of anything because of the fact that the way that the parents can be with them and stuff like that. But that's a whole different topic and rabbit hole of which I don't really care to go down fully. But
No, I like it. Let's not go down that hole. So let's reel it back in and look at your area of wizardry. So you've really shifted a lot, haven't you, in terms of how you show up on LinkedIn? I remember in the past you shared what we've touched on, and now everything you share is very direct, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's because, I do a form of direct marketing. I mean, anybody who's ever known me throughout the whole time of LinkedIn, you can, the one thing that all people will always say about me is that I've always been straight talking. Even when I've talked about the issues, I've never mollycoddled things. I've never beat around the bush because I believe that a lot of people don't like people who are like that. Some people really love the fact that people are like that. Personally, for me, it's a case of, I'd rather know where I stand with you, and I don't than not knowing where I stand with you. If someone's always nice to me, it's a case of I don't know where I stand with you because in my head it's like I don't ever see any other side of you. So I always see one side of you. Whereas with myself, it's like direct approach. If I've got a problem with something, or I don't necessarily like you, I'll probably tell you, to be honest with you, because that's just the way I am, and that's how I approach stuff. And people get really, people when you say to someone like, I'll be honest with you, I don't really like you, or I don't really do. People get really offended by that, and it's like, well, obviously I've got reasons why, but at the same time, like, that's my opinion. It's my opinion, and ultimately it doesn't matter to you. This is what I'm saying again about, like, go back to egos, and if someone says like they don't like you, it's your choice if you want to get upset or not. Like, you have a choice, whether you think it or not. You have a choice inside your head that says, I want to get upset about that, or I don't. People don't like me, I don't care. I really don't care. It's like, that's just who I am. It's who I am. You either like me, or you like me, or you don't like me, and I'm really not going to lose sleep at night if someone wants to badmouth me or doesn't like me. It's not going to make any difference to my world whatsoever, because I am who I am. As long as you've not done anything against the law and it's illegal or something like that, then someone's opinion of you means nothing. My opinion
of got to do with direct marketing.
I don't know, mate, but you've gone on to like a direct approach and obviously talking about the fact
gotcha.
I'm quite direct and stuff, and I know we're going backwards now. See, my mind just wanders off and starts talking about anything. But yeah, direct marketing, form of marketing that produces tangible results, and basically that you can, I believe that all marketing should be done off the back of results that you can see physically, and not be spent on things like branding, for example. Especially for smaller businesses starting up, because what I see a lot of is people trying to imitate huge companies who have huge global budgets.
Are we talking about LinkedIn here?
Yeah,
Or just marketing in general?
Well, LinkedIn, whatever,
Okay, cool.
Throughout the whole of business, I see people. Yeah. I see people that try to imitate a huge branding exercise that a big business has done, because they perceive that is what they should do. They see 80%, but what then happens is they do it, someone else sees them do it, so then they try it, or they try it a separate way, or different way, or slightly different. But then what happens is that 80% of people are all working the same way, and the 20% of people who are working differently are really reaping the rewards. And again, with advice for business and people, for me, I could go to 10 marketers now who I know on LinkedIn and say, can you give me some advice? But really, they're not that far ahead of you in the process. You might be able to pick up one or two tips that is going to improve you, but realistically, you're all going to be around the same level. If I wanted to gain some really, really valuable knowledge, I need to speak to someone who has got a marketing business that is absolutely booming at the top, and I'm going to have to go and pay for that, because otherwise, I'm speaking to people who are, it's a bit like, and I can talk about this, and people will might get the back about this, but I can talk about this because for anybody who's watching who doesn't know, I'm bipolar, and I do have mental health issues, and but I don't feel like me talking to other people who have mental health problems is a good idea. Now, that's just my opinion. If I really want to start getting help with my mental health problems, I need to go and speak to a psychologist or a doctor, a consultant, and ultimately, I'm going to have, I know we're very lucky to have the NHS in this country, but there are huge waiting lists. And at the minute, if I'm going to go and try and improve my situation, I'm going to go and have to talk to an expert who has done years of training or has built up this, this knowledge around this to improve. It is pointless. It's pointless kind of me wanting to improve on something and me talking to people who are in the exact same boat as me, because all it does is teach you how to cope with the situation. Now, that's not a bad thing for some people, but if you want to improve, you're going to have to speak to people who are actually doing it.
Okay. Back to direct marketing. What prompted you to sort of shift so much in that direction? Was it from working with this gentleman that you mentioned?
Yeah, primarily.
Okay.
Primarily, but when I kind of looked into it, and the hours and hours I've spent on researching it and looking at it, I actually think it's absolutely fantastic. I think for me, it's like, it's because it's different, because people see it and people kind of look at it and go, you can't do that. You can't. It's not a case of being controversial, but it's a case of, I can't be so direct with someone. I can't ask someone to buy my stuff. You can't just ask people to buy. It's like selling's become a dirty word nowadays, and it's like, but it's not. And it's like, for you to improve your business, you're going to have to sell whatever it is you're selling, because wasting all this time during, on social media and doing all this is great, can build connections, can build requests, can build friendships, fantastic. Can it lead to business? Yes, it can potentially lead to business, but all of that is done over a process of time, when you can cut it down by a process of elimination. If you know your target audience and you know your ideal client, and you can directly speak to those people every single day, and you can ask those people to buy off you, well, the worst that they can say is no. But people go, well, I want to build this rapport around my audience first, and I want them to know me, and I want them to understand me, and I want them to buy off me. And it's like, but people will buy off you if you can prove to them that you can kind of improve their lifestyle or improve their business. If your services are good enough, then people will buy off you. You know, can it be done the other way? Yes, it can be done the other way. There's no doubt about it. It can be done the other way. It's not the approach that I take. And the reason why I don't take that approach is because it saves me a lot of time, effort, and money, you know, not doing it that way to the way that I do it. You know, if I don't have to jump on calls with people, you know, and a lot of freelancers will relate to this. You know, when you're a freelancer, the amount of people that jump in your inbox and say, "Have you got 10 minutes for a chat? Can we go for a coffee? Can we do this? Can we do that?" And and it's great. And you could spend all week doing these meetings when, in actual fact, you've got a lot of stuff to do in your business to grow your business. You know, and it's like, well, you know, one thing that I do that a lot of people don't agree with is I charge for my sales calls. If people want to talk to me, I was like, yeah, it's £100. You know, if you want to talk to me, it's £100. People go, what? It's £100. And I go, yeah, it's £100, you know. And they go, I'm not paying £100 to talk to you. And I go, well, there you go. It's not like it, you know. If you really want to talk to me, you know, then you're gonna have to pay for my time. If I'm interested in your stuff and I see what you're writing about, then I'll contact you. But, you know, be talking to people directly about this. You know, you can create leads very easily through LinkedIn. You can be generating a really specific target audience list of people that you can talk to daily. And the best thing about it all is that, you know, if you talk about certain things that people want to hear about or want to improve on, then people will willingly sign up to these things that, you know, you are talking about. You know, and because people want to improve stuff. You know, if I said to you, you know, it's like I say to people, if you want to grow your business, you can sign up to my daily free emails. You know,
I signed up to that. Unfortunately, I'll be totally honest. They seem to land in my spam for some reason, and I didn't do that. I just anything that comes through consistently goes to my spam. So I have to.
There's not much. I mean, there's not much.
Really good. They're really good. Just pause you for a second. They're really good. Your emails are really good. I really like them. So if anybody isn't subscribed to Jordan's email list,
no, it's not anybody. This is the point I'm making. It's not anybody. It's freelancers, coaches, consultants.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Good point. And I appreciate you pulling me up on that. Anyone who doesn't fall into the bracket of the words that Jordan just shared isn't on his list, go and join it because it's really good. Let's just touch on a couple of the points that you just made there. Okay. So this will be useful for people. Know your target audience, like, know them really
massively. Well. For me, it's the most important thing you need to know about your business is know
your niche, because that's the thing people.
I literally had a conversation. It's not even about that sun's coming through that window above me.
I know you look a little bit angelic, if I'm totally honest. Like I can see the sun shining on one side.
I've just seen we've got quite a lot of comments. Really, I've not seen actually.
Yeah. I meant to say this to you. It was quite a long time ago, but Katie says she loves this, and Joe Cooper mentions horse racing. This talk is making me think. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
But it's a case of
people like you, Jordan, even if you don't want them
to. I'm actually, I'm all right, really, but I'm going to move back a bit because that sun's doing me in. What was we talking about then?
Oh yeah, you were talking about like knowing your audience.
Oh yeah. So I had a conversation the other day who was someone who's a virtual assistant.
Okay.
And they said to me that everybody's the target audience. And sometimes I go, although I can see your perspective on that, everyone isn't your target audience. Because why is when you say everyone is my target audience, you're trying to appeal to everybody. Why would Marie, who's a 25-year worker at Curry's PC World, need a virtual assistant? She's on LinkedIn. Why is she on LinkedIn? She's probably on LinkedIn to be social, to be honest with you, because it's a social media platform. But in actual fact, you're appealing to all these people that are never, ever, ever going to need your services. And when you kind of niche that down hugely, to understand who's going to need your product or your services first and foremost.
Yeah.
But then even better, if you can niche it down to having what an ideal client avatar looks like in terms of really who you would like to work with, and you can be, you can be that fussy, then that's even better, because not only will you hit your target audience, but the people you end up working with will be your ideal clients. And prime example, for the reason that if someone says to me, can they talk to me, and I charge them the £100, why do I do this? Well, I don't do this because I want to be a knobhead. I do this because I want the person who I work with to respect my time, and not going to fuck me about or piss me about. So therefore, if I do something like that, it's a case of, well, it's not a case of me, like I said, wanting me to be a dick and just say, no, I'm not doing it unless you pay me. It's a case of, are you going to prove to me that you respect my time enough? And in actual fact, I always make a guarantee with this money anyway. I always say that, if I turn around and say to you that I can't help you, I'll give you your money back. And if we end up working together, I'll give you your money back. So it's not a case of, give me £100, I'm going to take it off you, I'm going to do this call. I know, I'm guaranteeing you money. What have you got? If I say to you, if I turn around to you and say to you, if you want an hour of my time, you're going to pay me £100. If I can't help you, if I tell you I can't help you, I'll give you your money back. Or if we end up working together, I'll give you your money back, that'll go towards, the first month's fee or whatever. What have you generally got to lose? You've got nothing to lose at all, unless you want to waste my time or kick my tires. And believe it or not, there are a lot of salespeople out there who have quotas to fill, who will want to fill up these half-an-hour chats to show to the boss that they are filling up the time slots of what they need to be. So in terms of knowing your ideal target and stuff, by far it is the most important part of your business. Like, stop trying to market to everybody. Stop trying to hit a huge mass audience that are never going to want to buy. Really niche it down to who you want to work with and why you want to work with them, and concentrate on that.
Okay. Yeah. So know your target audience. Would you say, I've heard it expressed, know them better than they know themselves?
Nobody can know someone else better than they know themselves.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. All right. So know your target audience, and would you say you really figure that out and fine tune that through market research?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to. I mean, there's so many ways of doing this, but this is, again, direct marketing is a case of, trial and error on stuff. It's testing. You've got to test everything. You've got to find out in your market what works and what doesn't work, and what people respond to, and what they don't respond to, and what they like and what they don't like. And the only way to do that is to be. And I wrote a post about this the other day. If you can be an imperfectionist, and if you can really not care and not procrastinate over the fact that if you throw something out there, someone's going to have an opinion of it. If you can throw a post out there that's going to get some kind of feedback on how people respond for the sake of your business, I'm not telling you to go and be really, really controversial for the sake of being controversial. Do what is necessary. Do what is necessary to grow your business, but collect data, measure data all the time. The ways that you can do this are kind of endless, but everything that I do, and everything that I do with other clients and teach to other clients must be recorded and must be looked at analytically to be able to prove upon it. And we must look back on it to then go, okay, this didn't work, but this works. So we're going to try this again, but we're going to try it with this different analogy in it, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to improve on it all the time. Because anybody who works in marketing, whether it's direct marketing or not, will know that what works today can potentially not work tomorrow. But the truth is, again, with and copywriting in general, I mean, and shout out to Phil Tierman, who's on LinkedIn, who's a tremendous copywriter. Copy is one of these things that has worked for centuries, centuries, and it's still as effective today as it was 100 years ago, and I've got a lot of admiration for copywriters, especially good ones.
Okay, so I'm trying to sort of package it into sort of like 3 big takeaways that people can get potentially, and then obviously if they want more, contact you. But first one, know your target audience really well.
Yeah.
So you've got to do the background work to really fine tune that.
Mm-hmm.
Second, like you mentioned, copywriting as being a really useful tool to sort of bring people closer. Would you also suggest being kind of dynamic in your content, so using like videos as well, images, or are you just...
This is all part of testing, but the same reason you can test anything, but for me, it's a case of, especially with direct marketing, there's always got to be a purpose as to why you're doing something. It's absolutely pointless me telling you what, and this is one of the reasons why I've changed on LinkedIn, because I'm wanting to grow my business ultimately. But it's pointless me telling you what I've had for my breakfast. I've just been to Starbucks and I've had a bloody salmon bagel or whatever it is, with a decaf cha-cha latte or whatever it is you get, and it's like, and it's like you sit there and you go, well, that's lovely. That's really lovely. I'm glad you've had a nice breakfast, and I'm going to give you a like because it seems like you've had a right nice morning. But in actual fact, that is brand building. That is building your presentation to people. That's how people, someone else who goes to Starbucks and has a cha-cha latte every morning or whatever you call them will also enjoy that and might then become friends with you and do this and do that. But at this point in time, because my business is so new, stuff like that can be done organically and over time, and naturally conversations will happen. However, at this point in time, I need to talk to my target audience, my ideal clients. I need to tell them what I'm doing, how I'm going to be able to grow their business and focus on the marketing within the business. And natural fact, I need to know if they're going to buy off me. So if and there's pointless me beating around the bush and doing 6 months worth of content that doesn't ask the question of, will you buy my services ultimately? Because I need to know the question of, are you going to buy my services? Do I need to be, because again, you could waste 6 months with someone spending all this brand building time and doing these calls and doing this for them to turn around and never buy off you anyway. So why not find out within the first few weeks whether they are interested, putting direct content out there to people who are going to look at it and go, do you know what? This is what I want. This is what I don't want. If you do want it, go and sign up to my email list. Once you sign up to my email list, I'm going to go and speak to you every single day. I'm going to ask you to buy my shit every single day, and if you don't like that, well, you can unsubscribe, and I'm not going to get upset about that,
Yeah. Would you suggest, if someone is going to use email marketing, to do it every day?
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you? If I said to a business owner, if you could take, let's say you are an accountant, okay? If you're an accountant, and I said, look, I've got you a list here of 100 people who are precisely your target audience, who are precisely your ideal client, who are have started a business a year ago. They're coming up to like the first year's books and stuff. They're going to need all this help with sorting the money out and the receipts out and this, that, and the other. I said to you, I've got 100 people, right? And every morning, I'm at 6 o'clock. I'm going to go and collect a letter off you, and I'm going to go and put a letter on their desk so you can speak to them and tell them how you can help them every single day. Would you do it? Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah. No, I agree.
I don't see an argument. People go, well, people's argument to that would be, well, I don't want to get, I don't want to be over in your face too much. Listen, you can't force anybody to buy off you. You cannot force you cannot force anybody to buy and click that button and press, and pay that invoice. You cannot force anybody to buy off you. The idea of marketing is to the fact that day when somebody wakes up and says, you must have bought something quite recently that says, and you don't know why you bought it. You've just gone, today's the day I'm going to buy something, and you don't know why it is. But if you are, and the people who don't do this potentially every day, I go, well, if tomorrow's the day they wake up and decide they're going to buy something, you're not there to remind them of your products, how do you think they're going to buy your products or your services? I've just read something very recently about Starbucks, and they've just released a new app or something that they constantly send push notifications every single day. If big brands like Starbucks are doing it, why are you not doing it? Because you feel that people will kind of perceive you in a certain way, and they won't like you because you're trying to sell to them. Well, they're not your target audience, are they? If someone doesn't want to hear about how you can improve their business with your services, well, they're not the right people for you anyway.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's really useful. One thing that this is just like a sentence that came up in my head as you were talking. It's like, okay, know the music of your ideal client, and then just keep playing that music over and over and over. I don't know why. That's just how it came out for me.
Well, it's like if you watch TV.
Yeah.
So maybe something that you kind of. When was the last time you watched something religiously on television? Not on Netflix, not on Amazon, but on television. Name me something.
Okay, so the only one show I can say that me and my partner do that for is Gogglebox.
Okay, Gogglebox. Now, let's say what Gogglebox is an hour-long program.
Yeah, at 9 o'clock on a Friday.
Okay, so there's
the
probably
only program I know what time it's on.
So there's probably 4 commercial breaks within that. Yeah. It's probably 4. Yeah. Now, I guarantee if you watch it next Friday, all 4 commercial breaks, one company will probably have paid for advertising spaces within all 4 of those. Okay, so that's not every day. That's 4 within an hour, and then when it's finished, okay, it might be 5, and then if you go on to watch the next thing, it might be 8 times within 2 hours. Okay, because someone's paid for all of that advertising space. Now you don't sit there and go, "Oh, this is too much. I can't have this opinion. I'm gonna hate them for it." But again, people perceive that if you oversell to people, what's the worst thing that can happen? Worst thing that can happen is they block you or they unsubscribe.
Tap, 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 tap. Just keep tapping away. Yeah, I've heard it not quoted, but the acronym I've seen is CTA. So Connection, Trust, Authority. Like that's your marketing. Connection, Trust, Authority. Connection, Trust, Authority. And I do think perhaps some of us can spend too much time trying to do the connection part, thinking, no, I've got to get people to know about me and like me first. Like, well, actually, no, just CTA. And then I like to say CTA and CTA. So Connection, Trust, Authority with regular calls to action as well.
Well, let's put that myth to bed that you have to like someone to buy off them. Because,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a really good thing. Smash that.
Because you have to, let's look at, Rupert Murdoch is an absolute arsehole, yeah? In my opinion, he's an absolute arsehole. Don't like him at all. Many people don't like him, okay? But I still watch Sky Sports, which ultimately he owns, and I still buy off the fact that, not because of the fact that I'm not going to sit there and go, I'm not buying Sky, because ultimately I love football, and my love for football is greater than my power for my hatred for Rupert Murdoch, which, I don't like him. I think he's a fucking cock. But at the same time, like, I'm not gonna not watch my team on a Saturday because I dislike him. It's like nobody likes buying petrol, do they? Nobody likes pay. Everybody always whinges at me. It's a great British rant that'll never live. The price of petrol, price of a pint abroad, them conversations that people speak about, but you still go and buy it, don't you? Why? Because it's an essential, it's a necessity to your life. Because the alternative is that I don't buy Sky and I can't watch my football. Therefore, I've nothing to do with my weekends, or I feel like I've nothing to do with my weekends, and I'm bored and I'm shitless and I don't watch football, and my love for football is too great. Or we look at petrol, okay? You go and buy petrol, and you go, well, the alternative is you don't buy petrol. You can't run your car, and you've got to take your kids to school on bus, the thought of me taking my kids to school on bus is beyond belief that I don't want to do it. So therefore, you've got to go and pay the prices anyway. There is an argument to say that, does personality and does relationships sell stuff? Without a shadow of a doubt, there is that point. It can do and it will do, yeah. But it doesn't have to be that way. And anybody who says it does have to be that way, in my opinion, is wrong.
Yeah. Do you think that part comes later. That part comes at the stage where you're actually looking into working with someone more than being concerned about that in like the content.
Well, I think for me, the point I've just been trying to make is that if you don't like someone, but you don't see, but you don't have to like someone to see the value that they can bring to your life, you know.
Yeah.
And if you ignore the fact that they can bring a lot of value to your life, or improvement, or to your life, or can bring a lot of things to your life that you need or you want, and you choose to ignore that because your perception of someone is that you don't like them, well, for me that's just like, I can't get my head around why you would do that. You don't have to like people to understand that they can bring some real form of value into your life, and whether you want to be friends with them, that's a different topic altogether. But there's many things in life that, I'm not best of mates with my accountant, but he's a good accountant and he gets the job done. Don't mean I have to go out with him on a Friday night and have a pint with him. I ring him up and he gets stuff done for me. He brings a lot of value to my business. He brings a lot of stuff. He takes a lot of time off my hands. But I'm not best mate. I didn't choose him because he's my best pal or this, that, and the other. I chose him because he's good at his job, and that's what I need.
Okay. All right. Now let's look at wrapping this up. I want to ask you two questions. One, where are you from, by the way, Jordan? Because you said
I'm from Preston in Lancashire.
Okay, cool. Right, gotcha. Cool. And the second one is, I think it was something you posted this morning, wasn't it? That you hate social media.
Hate it with passion.
Yeah. And yet here we are chatting away on social media. So that's a kind of direct reflection of what you've just said.
Hashtag irony.
No, but it's like a reflection of what you were just sharing there. You don't have to like something to benefit from it, from using it. So you've kind of just directly shown what you were sharing just from being here in the first place.
It's an unbelievably undervalued tool. And
right.
that's the reason why. There is an opportunity to hit all of these people that I want to hit through social media. And the best thing about it all is it's free. It doesn't cost me anything. It costs me my time, and people do need to look at how much time costs and evaluate that kind of stuff as well. But at the same time, social media doesn't owe me anything. It doesn't owe me a goddamn thing. It doesn't owe me a single thing at all. But as a tool, I can see the real value behind it. And it, like you have just mentioned there, it really does prove that you don't have to like something to prove that it can be good for you.
Yeah. All right. Last thing then, just so there's like 3 takeaways for people. Know your ideal client really, really well. You've suggested that, told how to go and sort that out. Second is the actual content, not being concerned whether people kind of like you, and keep tapping, keep banging the drum. Thirdly, like this is just something I've been told in the past, how much value would you attribute to looking to actually connect with people in the background, like messaging people, trying to just build a bit of a relationship and rapport? Or would you say don't waste your time doing that?
I'd say it's personally, I don't inbox anybody about my services. Yeah. I don't sell through my inboxes. Why? Because it's too big of a great. Because what you can do is you can for greater niche this to for example, everybody using my email list, is a warm lead, because specifically I have told them what they're signing up for. They know I'm going to sell to them. They know my rules and my boundaries. Even when you first sign up to it, okay, you've said it goes in your spam. But the first email that you will get off me will basically tell you my rules and my boundaries and say to you, if you don't agree with this, you better unsubscribing now, because this is how I work. If you unsubscribe at that stage, fantastic. I've weaned someone out. It's a great thing. If they don't and they choose that they want, the one thing that I've sent hundreds, I've probably sent thousands of emails out now. And the one thing that I've never had is someone report it as spam, because it's not spam, because you're getting people to sign up for it. And it's not even about signing up. It's if you want to learn how to grow your business, from my perspective, then you can receive my free daily emails. And if you want to do that, so why would I waste time on direct messages on someone that I've never spoken to before, when I can build this list of people who read my content, who willingly choose to sign up to my email list, and I can speak to them daily. And what you find is that those people kind of inbox you anyway and have a conversation with you. I mean, I had 2 yesterday. But the one thing I will say is that, and the one thing I do is I add connections. I add connections because ultimately, again, from my target audience, from my ideal client, I search certain words, founders, freelancers, stuff like that, and I target those people, and I add connections of those people, because those are the people that I want to. And I think you can do about 25 a day, I think it is, or someone might correct me from that. I'm not a LinkedIn guru, but I would say that doing stuff like that per day can be very good for you.
Okay. So what about like sending messages to people that engage with your content? I've been told that that's a useful thing to do as well. Would you suggest that, or?
Depends what the comment is.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm interested. Can we have a chat? Might be worth a comment. You might be worth a message. But even then, I still do a process within my direct messages that weans out people who really are interested and people who just want to waste your time. If it's something like good job, Jordan, no, I'm not going to send you a direct message. Why would I?
Yeah, I would love that. Agree with this. Yeah. Okay, cool. Jordan, if people want to contact you, if people want your services, if people want to have a chat and pay you £100, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can drop me a direct message. So you can drop me a direct message. Or you can, if you want to receive my daily free emails where you get topics like this, and you get my no bullshit approach, no nonsense approach, no fluff approach, whatever you want to call it. If you head over to fixyourbusiness.net and you read the bit of a blurb on there that tells you the requirements to sign up to my email list, and if you still feel like you want to do it, then by all means crack onto it. That's fixyourbusiness.net.
Cool. And they can connect with you on here as well, on LinkedIn, connect with you on Facebook, or
I don't buy it, honestly. I know I'm a bit like opinionated, but I don't buy it.
Okay, cool. John, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to end this here, and